down and you can take her away. So this is Jay interviewing Lance. 5, 3.
Hello and welcome to the Jay Conner Show. This is Jay Conner coming to you from Eastern North Carolina, actually here in Morehead City, North Carolina. And most folks know me as the Private Money Authority. And I'm so excited to have a dear friend, very successful real estate investor that has really carved out his niche, not in single family homes, but actually in this space of making big money in small apartments. His name's Lance Edwards. And Lance, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jay. Boys, it's a real pleasure to be here. What an honor. Thank you, Jay, for having me here today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I tell you, Lance, I'm going to give folks just a little bit of your background, and then I'm going to let you fill in the cracks, and then we'll get right into it if that sounds good to you.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, folks, I've been knowing Lance now. I don't know. I've lost the time, and the years go by so quickly. But I don't know, Lance. I think we probably got to know each other about 6 or 7 years ago. But one thing I'm really excited about telling the folks, Lance, is that you are the #1 best-selling author of your book on how to make big money in small apartments. So let's just stop right there for a second. Tell folks about the book and what are some of the highlights that they'll learn in that book. In fact, folks, stay on to the end of the show, and Lance is going to give you a secret website URL to where you can actually get his free best-selling book. So what's that book about, Lance?
You know, Jay, the book is it covers everything about the small apartment business, and it really reflects the journey that I went through, having been doing it since 2002, and really encapsulates that strategy of the why small apartments, how you do it, and it lays out how anyone, I mean anyone with no prior experience, using none of their own cash, none of their own credit, can go out and buy and flip small apartment buildings. And I have students all over the country who are doing this and literally using this strategy to replace their job income. And matter of fact, the book has over 40 case studies where I draw upon my clients and student success stories to make the teaching points. And I've really been fortunate, been blessed. It went to #1 on Amazon, and I'm really, really proud of that work because it lays out how anyone can do this.
Yeah. Well, now you mentioned that you have been involved with apartments since 2002, and you've really carved out this way for people to real estate investors. I guess you don't have to be a seasoned real estate investor to get involved in this, do they?
No, absolutely not. Matter of fact, I started off with zero experience in any type of real estate. I just got started in small apartments. Most of my students, most of my clients that come to the training portion of the business, they're starting off in small apartments. Matter of fact, Jay, you're going to like this. I just did a podcast just last week where I interviewed a 10-year-old who just bought a duplex.
What?
Did.
A 10-year-old? My lands, that's amazing. Well, in my world of private money, my youngest lender is 17. So you got me beat on the 10-year-old. So now you're involved in small apartments. So what's the definition of small apartments? How many is small?
So definition is 2 to 30 unit buildings. So that covers in the 2 to 4 units at the residential side, 5 plus gets into the commercial side, but it's 2 to 30 unit buildings.
I got you. So duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and right on up to about 30 doors. Well, I tell you what, before we really dive in, Lance, I know my viewers and listeners are really interested in hearing your story, your backstory. How did you get from where you were? And I know you were in corporate America for a while, but just give the viewers and listeners an overview of how Lance Edwards got from back yonder to here today.
Okay. Well, we go back yonder, back in 2002, I had a full-time corporate job, had a young family, and like many people getting started off, I'm trying to figure out how to get some extra income. And I discovered real estate investing And like so many people, my very first training was a course I took on how to buy houses, nothing down. And my first instructor in that house course said, you know, Lance, I made a lot of money doing houses, but I came to realize that to meet my financial goals, I needed to shift to multifamily. Multifamily provided, you know, bigger numbers and in a shorter time period. So that really impressed me. So when I came out of that first course on houses, I came out looking to do small apartments. First real estate transaction I ever did, I bought a fourplex, nothing down. This is 2003, my very first deal. And which, by the way, and Jay, I'm sure you'll attest to that. Your first deal is going to be your most critical deal in your real estate journey.
Yes.
And it's also going to be the scariest, at least it was for me. But once I had that first deal under my belt, it became like a launching pad. Over the next 2.5 years, I did 50 deals, bought them all, nothing down, using other people's money. Did more fourplexes, then did 10 unit, 50, 56, 85 unit projects. Again, always using other people's money, which you are the private money authority. You really appreciate that.
Yes.
And what happened, Jay, within 3 years of my start in small apartments, I was able to, you know, retire from a 20-year corporate career, left that. Now I'm out doing real estate full time. A couple of years later into that, got approached by some colleagues at my real estate club in Houston where I live and said, hey, Lance, can you teach us these apartment deals? So back in my very first training seminar is July of 2007. I've been training tens of thousands of people since then. I love doing the training. Also very, very active on the transaction side. I have complete teams in my office in Houston. We're doing deals all over the country. And so it all started from that first little deal. And that's really why I do it now is I have two passions. I love teaching this stuff and I still love doing the deal making.
Sure, sure. Well, one question that I have after listening to your story there is, and I know this may be a difficult question, but best you can on averages. So I know it's going to depend on where in the country because you do deals all over the nation. You got students, you know, all over the place. But like, let's start with like a duplex, triplex, quadplex. I mean, 2 to 4 doors. What would you say is a realistic amount of money, you know, people can make on a duplex or a triplex or a quadplex? Like, for example, I know that's all over the board because, you know, in the world of single family homes, I mean, you know, here in Eastern North Carolina, my average profit last year, the last 12 months rather, is $67,000. But I would say across the nation on a single family house out there, most of the time it's going to be like in that $30,000 range or so, you know, $30,000, $40,000. What's realistic on the apartments? Now, I got to give a caveat to that question. Do most of your students buy and hold, or do most of your students buy and flip?
Yeah, let's qualify this because we can do all of the strategies that, you know, your listeners are probably most familiar with in single family. You can either buy and hold these things. You can buy them and fix them up and sell them, which is certainly one of your areas of expertise. Or you can simply flip your contracts, wholesale them. So we're very active on wholesaling nationwide, and that is let's make sure we're on the same page. I put a property under contract to purchase a small apartment building, and then I sell my contract to an end buyer, and I'm out of the transaction. On those transactions, and you asked about 2 to 4 unit buildings, I mean, you certainly should expect $20,000 per flipping of the contract. And, you know, a lot of people, they can't wrap their heads around it, so I say, okay, they expect 10. But when we're doing it, and it comes with experience and confidence. The minimum that we're looking at is $20,000, and really the range is a $20,000 to $50,000 flip of your paper, flip of the contract.
Yeah. Well, you know what's beautiful about flipping the paper is there's no rehabbing, there's no carrying cost. You teach your students how to find these deals, right?
Yep.
And how to negotiate the deal, get it under contract, and then, of course, I'm sure you teach your students how you locate or build your buyers list of people that want them. Is that right?
That's all correct. So, and most people, you know, we teach all the methods. We teach how to flip these properties. We teach how to buy and hold these properties, and we teach how to buy them, fix them up, and raise the value. And that's where the real big paydays come from. These are 6- and 7-figure paydays.
Right.
Well, no matter which of those techniques, one of the things I will share, and most of the students, people that are looking for quick cash to pay down some debt or, provide some financial independence. That quick cash comes from wholesaling, flipping the contracts. And so most people want to start there. And we have, and the beauty about our business, Jay, and this, is that today it's never been easier because a lot of stuff can be, all of the minutia work can be automated. There's systems we put in place. I have a telemarketing team in Houston that's talking to buyers and sellers right now. And we do this for our own account, and now we do it for our students. So we really have made it possible for anyone with no experience, using none of their own cash or credit, to get involved in this business and do it on a part-time basis, because we can handle all the minutia in finding these qualified sellers and qualified buyers.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I believe, I don't have a scientific statistic, but my gut feel tells me, since I've been around this, been a real estate investor for 15 years and been around, other real estate investors, thousands of them, my best guess is most real estate investors start with single family houses. They're either buying, fixing up, wholesaling, buying, hold, landlord, whatever. But now your deal is different. So why did you didn't start with single family houses, right? Your first deal was a small apartment, right?
That's right.
So I've heard you talk in the past, and I'd love for you to share with the viewers and listeners, why did you start with small apartments instead of what most people do, single family houses? And what are the advantages to the small apartments versus single family houses?
Well, there's a number, and the things that really grabbed my attention early on. And by the way, for anybody that's doing houses now, do houses. Continue doing houses. That's your cash flow. I would just suggest there's another revenue source, another profit center here with small apartments. But the things that really attracted me, Jay, and still do, and the people that attracted me, there's a number of things. Number one, it's really more money for the same effort is the simplest way to put it. Because if nothing else, think of small apartments like bigger houses. And the process that you go through to wholesale a house is the same process to wholesale a small apartment. It's all the same. So it's more return for the same effort. And the other thing I would say that really attracted me into it is when you get into strictly the world of commercial, which is 5 units and above, then the way that we value or evaluate apartment buildings is based on something called the cap rate, the capitalization rate, which means all I got to do is run the math. I don't need to even see the building to evaluate it. And so the way that we're able to evaluate apartment deals all over the country, make offers, put them under contract, and then wholesale them all over the country, sight unseen, is because I don't need to see the building. I just need to see the math. And the analytical nature of me, that I really like that I could, on the back of an envelope, figure out what the value is. And also on the back of the envelope, I could figure out if I raise the rent $15 a month, if I raise the occupancy 2%, I could calculate precisely what my new value would be. And I like that predictability. And the third thing I would say, Jay, is that simply there's fewer people in this space. And so, I find that attractive as well. But it's the predictability and the scalability of it that really attracted me.
Well, you just said there's fewer people in this space, which means there's less competition. But why would you say that is? Why don't more people do apartment deals?
It's an interesting question. It's what I discovered when I got started, and really it's become so evident over all these years of training so many people. There's 3 myths, let's call them limiting beliefs, that people have that keeps them out of apartments. So real quickly, number one, a lot of people have a notion or a limited belief. They think, well, I got to do some house deals first, and I do a few house deals, I'll graduate into small apartments. Well, that's a myth. I didn't graduate. I just decided to get started here. The second limiting belief people have, well, don't I need big cash or credit to do these transactions? They see this, bigger price properties. They say, I don't have the financial resources. Well, Jay, you're proof of that. I mean, you're the private money authority. So No, you're going to raise the money you need. And by the way, seller financing is very common in small apartments. It's probably our primary financing way. And then we use other private money sources for down payments, rehab money. So no, you don't need any cash or credit to get started in this business. And the third belief that keeps people perhaps out of this business, they think, well, I don't want to deal with tenants and toilets. Well, guess what? Neither do I. and so we hire management companies. And when you're dealing with small apartments, there's a lot of revenue being generated by these properties. So you can afford to hire good management companies, and they deal with tenants and toilets. So you get beyond those three beliefs. You don't need to graduate. You don't need to use your own cash or credit. You're not going to deal with tenants and toilets. And you come to realize, hey, you're qualified right now to get started.
Yeah. Now, you said something a moment ago. You said that you can analyze a deal. You teach your students how to analyze a deal to where you don't have to go look at the property. You get the information, you run the math. So when you don't have to go look at a property, it sounds to me like you're not just investing in a particular area. It's like the nation or wherever is your whole territory, right?
Precisely. That's the really cool part. So, you can wholesale buildings anywhere in the country. And especially in the market right now, you've got a lot of buyers interested in apartment buildings. So we literally are in markets all over the country, multiple states, multiple cities, and because it all comes down to the math. So we do our marketing, we find the deal, we get the leads coming in, we qualify those leads, we make offers, get them under contract, and then we market them to find buyers. So literally, what I say is what you need is the internet, a phone, and a computer tablet, and some kind of computing device. That's all you need, and you got the entire nation as your marketplace.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you just mentioned the word marketing, okay? And I know in your best-selling book, you emphasize that in real estate, we're really just in the marketing business. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because, and you'll certainly appreciate this. I mean, any business, and certainly real estate, now, I say, Jay, none of us, you and I are not in the real estate business. We're in the marketing business, because if our phone's not ringing, we don't have a business. We have a hobby. Right? And so, and we have an incredibly simple business model. We're always marketing for two things: deals and dollars.
Right.
On one hand, I want to find the deals, the motivated sellers, get good price or get good terms, or both. On the other hand, I'm marketing for dollars, means if I'm going to flip this property, I got to find a buyer. On the other hand, if I'm going to buy this property, marketing for dollars means I got to find a private investor, which you're the expert at,
right,
to this deal. So what I mean by that is we find deals, we find dollars, and we match make. We are simply matchmakers. I mean, that is our business. It comes down, it's just all marketing. Everything else is a detail, but if we're not marketing, we're not making any money.
Right, right. So speaking of marketing, so when it comes to locating hot apartment deals, have you got like one or two primary ways you like to find these deals, or have you got 10 different ways you find these deals? I mean, what's that look like?
Sure. I mean, and it all begins with the deal flow. So there's three primary ways that I teach to find these apartment deals. One is websites. This is places like LoopNet, MLS, properties that are obviously listed for sale, and you can start there and find property. Now, but I got to warn your listeners, you got to separate the trash from the treasure.
Right.
Not every listing on LoopNet or MLS or any other websites is going to be a good deal. So you got to separate the trash from the treasure. The second source of deal flow and better quality deal flow is going to be brokers and agents. Again, they have properties listed for sale, but brokers don't put every property they have on LoopNet. Matter of fact, they save their best properties. They call them the pocket listings for the people they have a relationship with.
Right.
And then they contact them. So we want to develop relationships with those brokers. And by the way, it's a scripted process. If you have no prior experience, I can teach you a script. That I had an 18-year-old do this. Got on the phone, talked to a broker, and put it under contract. He and his dad flipped me 30 grand. So it's the words you use. And then the third way to create deal flow is direct mail. you send a letter or a postcard directly to the apartment owner saying, do you want to sell? And I will share with everyone that direct mail is your secret weapon for a number of reasons.
You mean the post office is still open?
Oh, they actually are open, and they've got, they got less mail to deal with, so they appreciate your business. So we're sending these direct mail pieces through, but it puts me in direct contact with an owner. And 99% of the time, Jay, that owner was thinking about selling, but had not listed the property for sale. So I'm the only one they're talking to. And when it comes to getting owner finance deals, talking straight to the owner is the simplest way to get owner finance deals. And so we love direct mail.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, most of my viewers and listeners are either already into single family houses or that's what they've been thinking about doing. So what would you say to a real estate investor that is, say, already in the single family house space?
I would say, mentioned a moment ago, don't stop what you're doing now. Whatever you're doing now, that is your current business, continue that. But I want you to consider adding another profit center of small apartment deals, because the processes that you're following now are very similar in the small apartment sector. Matter of fact, if you're wholesaling, properties to investors, those same investors will buy your small apartment buildings. And a true investor buyer is going to do repeat business with you. They're looking for income producing properties, assets. So I would say if you're doing houses right now, add small apartments. And I would say if you're still trying to figure out where you want to get started, I would encourage you to check out beginning with small apartments, just like I did and so many of my students do.
Yeah. Now you just mentioned buyers. So you gave us some nuggets on finding the deals. All right. Can you give us some nuggets on how you find the buyers of these deals?
Sure. I mean, let me share with you we talk about small apartments. These are 2 to 30 unit buildings. The single largest buying group of small apartments is single family landlords. These are people that have like 3 or 4 rental houses. They've been self-managing. They're burned out and they want to move up. And so we're targeting these people. And so where they congregate, well, I'll tell you, they congregate at RIAs once a month, right, at real estate clubs. So go get your flyer down there and market your property. They congregate at real estate auctions. Get your flyer down there, market real estate property. Get your property on Craigslist, market it there. Get your property on the same websites I told you to go find properties, LoopNet, MLS. And it's just blocking and tackling. But once you know who your target buying group is, the single family landlords, you just got to get your deal in front of where they congregate. It's all those places I just mentioned.
That's awesome. So we're getting near the end of this show, Lance. And what I also love to talk about is mindset. I mean, I've been a personal development self-help book junkie since I was 24 years old. I didn't even actually enjoy reading until I was 24 years old, because I finally started reading stuff that I was interested in, like was how to make Jay, better. So you talk about mindset in your book. So this is a perfect segue as to how we wrap up the show. And that is, I mean, you put a special emphasis on it. So give us a recap, if you would, about what you go over in the book about mindset. And then I'd love for you to share I call it the sweet spot. What is it in the way you look at life, the way you look at business that could really help take our listeners and viewers to the next level?
Boy, Jay, you got a couple of days, because this is.
I know. Well, it's hard to pick and choose. I understand.
But I think this is really the question, and I'm so glad Jay brought this up, because the thing that holds back most people from doing their first transaction in real estate, whether it's single family, multifamily, it doesn't matter, is their mindset. And so when I say mindset, or when Jay says mindset, here's my definition. Mindset is the ability to take action despite fear. Mindset is the ability to take action despite the fact I don't feel like taking action. because, the real sweet spot is, frankly, the thing that stands between each of us and our ultimate dreams and ambitions is the fear, and specifically is the fear of looking silly.
Right.
It's fear. And so that is holding us back. And that's what creates these limiting beliefs in our heads about what's possible for ourselves. And it's all crap, by the way. It's absolute junk. It's been programmed with us from the time we were, 3 years old. It's just all this clutter and baggage. But here's, that's the bad news. We got this programming. The good news is we can change the programming. And in the book, actually chapter 10 is devoted to this. It's actual techniques and exercises that I was mentored to do by my mindset coach on how to change the crap in my head, how to change the programming to start making this great computer between our ears start working on our behalf. And so that's covered in the book. And again, it's all, we can take control once you understand what's holding us back. And I'm telling you, it's fear. That's what's holding us back.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't be more on the page, no pun intended, on the same page as you as to what you just said. And, one quote that I came across not long ago was, success or life begins when you get out of your, comfort zone, or begins, outside your comfort zone. And, as you just said, just sort of complimenting what you said. I mean, success really happens. I mean, what I've experienced, Lance, is when I'm able to really go to another level and take my business to another level or do a breakthrough. I mean, I don't care what it was. I mean, I bet you would agree with this. The very first time you got on stage and you started speaking to, an audience about small apartments, was that a little scary for you to begin with?
Yes, yeah, of course, yes, but I showed up, and that's the key part, is learning to show up. What I share with my students is, listen, the first of anything is always going to be the scariest. Your first broker call, your first offer, it's because it's the first, and it's not that it's hard. It's just, Jay, we weren't taught this stuff in school,
no,
and so we have no reference point other than mentors like yourself and me and other great instructors to kind of point us in this direction. So that's what we're combating against is, decades of conditioning by the school systems and employers. But now I just want everyone to be aware that that's what's holding you back. And it's just a flip of a switch deciding you're going to change the program.
Exactly. Hey, look, I'm blessed that Carol Joy and I get to hang around you and Kim quite a bit throughout the year. And so, in fact, we're going to see each other this week, as I recall. And so when we have dinner, we got to talk about some more mindset stuff, because I didn't know you were into it as much as I was, but I shouldn't be surprised. Now, listen, Lance, we've been promising everybody since the beginning of the show that you're going to give away your best-selling book. And so actually, we're going to put right here below the video at the bottom of the screen, we're going to actually put the website. So give them that website out, Lance, as to how they can go claim your free book. Sure, Jay. And as a special gift to all of Jay's listeners and viewers, I mentioned my best-selling book, How to Make Big Money in Small Apartments, #1 bestseller. I'm going to give you the book for free. Send you the hardback book, just ask you to pay the shipping and handling, very minor fee for the shipping and handling. But check it all out now. You can go to this website, freeapartmentsbook.com, freeapartmentsbook.com, and we'll ship that to you, plus some bonus materials and some CD interviews of me and just really, really great stuff for you. Well, Lance, thank you so much for offering that to my viewers and listeners. And with that, folks, we're going to call this show a wrap. Lance, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to share the information with the viewers and listeners about small apartments. And I just appreciate your time so much. Thank you, Jay. I so much respect everything you're doing for your clients and your students. It's an absolute honor to be here. So thank you. You're welcome. All right, folks, thank you for joining in and listening or viewing, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority, wishing you the best, and until we see you on the next show, here's to taking your business to the next level. Bye for now.